Greetings, Deep Dive Podcast listeners. This is your boy, Sam Oram, coming at you with another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. We've been rolling so far in season 3, and things are just getting more and more exciting every single week. I appreciate everybody who tunes in every week loyally and faithfully. I really appreciate that. And I know I say it all the time every week, but I'm going to continuously say that because it's very important for us to be able to acknowledge people who are supporting the podcast, because I know there's so many things you could be doing with your time. So I certainly don't want to take that for granted. And I appreciate you tuning in every single week. We have another exciting episode tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about how to thrive even during a downtime or even during a lot of chaos that's going on around the world. We want to talk to you about how you can thrive in the midst of all of these adversities. But before we talk about that, again, for those of you who are following and those of you who are new, welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast. I encourage everybody to like, subscribe, download, and share the podcast. That's going to help us continuously expand our message of empowerment and entertainment. So please do us a favor, like, download, subscribe, and share this particular episode. So I want to jump right into it. I want to talk a little bit about how you thrive even during downtimes, even during a economic down period. There's so many things that people have to be aware of during a downtime that, you know, is going to benefit you. Because here's the thing. Even when there's adversity going on, I mean, life still goes on, right? Would you agree? You still have to pay your bills. You still have to put food on the table. All of these things still have to occur. So it really doesn't matter what's going on around you. What's important is, how do you react and how do you still continue to move forward when things aren't going so great? I did a webinar with Dr. Cindy Trim a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and we talked about, how to continue to move forward in an economic downturn, very similar to what we're going to talk about tonight. But I wanted to expand upon that a little bit because so many people have asked. And by the way, shout out to the Deep Dive Podcast Facebook group. You're growing by leaps and bounds, and some of your input is incredible. So thanks to you for that. But, we're going to talk a lot as we move forward about what's important in terms of how you thrive during economic downtimes, during bad times. What makes it, possible for you to continue to move forward? Well, one of the things you want to do, and there are several strategies, and this is not a cure-all, but this is just something that may help you in the midst of your goal setting and how you're going to move forward. But maintaining a positive attitude and really focusing on things that's going to bring you joy and meaning in your life is probably at the top of the list. Now, you think about this. Maintaining a positive attitude, it's easy. I mean, I've been there. I know you've been there. A lot of people have been there. It's easy to just kind of feel some type of way when things aren't going well, right? But I always tell people, okay, that experience may be true, but then how are you going to continue to move forward? See, people come to me a lot and they have a complaint about this or a complaint about that, or they're saying this is not going well. And I will acknowledge that for a lot of people in their lives when I'm going through some of my coaching sessions, right? But my question always ultimately end up being, so now that you have gotten that off your chest, and now that we have acknowledged that what you're saying and your experience and this is true, so now what are you going to do about it? See, you can't just, complain about it or talk about it or this, that, and the other. What are you going to do about it? When you look at, let's take voting, for example, people talk a lot about what's going on politically and what's going on, economically and all these other things. Well, the best solution is to vote. And not only to vote, but to encourage other people to vote, to exercise their right to vote. There always has to be some type of action behind the complaints or the things of that nature, right? So if we're going to continue to live, then we have to find a way to maintain and even grow through those adversities. But it starts with that positive mental attitude. Look, it doesn't matter what's going on. If you're negative and frustrated and disillusioned about everything, then you can't move forward. So make sure that you're maintaining a positive attitude. Make sure that you're focusing on things that are going to bring you joy and bring meaning to your life. That's very important. Something else that you can do that kind of gets you through all of this is kind of practice self-care. You would be amazed at how many people that just literally don't take care of themselves, whatever that means to you. They don't take care of themselves, whether that's, getting enough sleep, whether that's exercising regularly, whether that's eating properly, or whether that's, maintaining some type of positive mental approach to everything, right? Self-care is very important. I say this all the time. I've said it on numerous episodes, but if there is no goose, there could be no golden eggs. Now, I'm kind of a play on a parody, but understanding what I'm saying, you are that temple that has to be strong and that has to be whole if you're going to move forward and thrive. If you're not whole, if you're broken, if you're not taking advantage of self-care, then all the things that you're shooting for that's on your goal list, all the things that you desire, they can't manifest themselves if you're not whole, if you don't have self-care. And in fact, even if they did manifest themselves, you couldn't enjoy it because you may have lackluster health, you may have an ill view of life, or those type things. So make sure that you're practicing self-care. That's very, very important. And also staying connected with your friends, staying connected with your loved ones, and even seeking support when you need that support. One of the six human needs is physical interaction with other human beings. That's one of the six human needs. You have to have that human interaction. And so one of the things that happened during the pandemic when we became so separated. Now think about this. We were already becoming tribal as a world, right? Everybody's starting to kind of regress to their own corners spiritually or physically or religiously or whatever. They kind of regressed. But what happened with the pandemic, it just ignited that to the nth degree because people were now separated. But of course, you had to be. They were isolated. People were alone. And what that causes a lot of mental health distress. It caused that one of those six human needs to not be fulfilled. So people started to feel lonely and frustrated and all of those type things. And a lot of people have not recovered from that type of mindset. Well, let me tell you, you have to stay connected with friends. You have to stay connected with loved ones. And even if you're in a situation where you need, some type of support, whether that's through conversations, whether that's through mentorship, then seek that support. Don't be afraid to seek that support. It is critical to your long-term success. And remember, we're talking about how do you thrive even during tough times. Well, these are some of the things that may seem minute in the big picture, but in actuality, if you're going to thrive, note that word, thrive. If you're going to thrive, then these are the things that must take place. And notice I talk a lot about, your mindset, your self-care, things of that nature, staying connected, because it all starts with you. If you aren't whole, again, I'm repeating this, but if you aren't whole, then any of those other things, none of those things will work, right? So that's very, very important. Also, being able to set goals and work toward those goals no matter what. Work toward those goals with vigor. Work toward those goals with excitement. That will give you a sense of purpose. It would also give you a sense of direction. But I caution people when I talk about goals, because a lot of people get goals and a game plan mixed up or confused. Goals and plans are two different things. Your goal is you want to win the football game. That's the goal, right? But your plan is what are you going to do on offense? What are you going to do on defense? What are you going to do on special teams? When I coach a lot of people, one of the frustrating things is when I ask people, well, okay, this is what you said you're looking to do. Let's take a look at your plan. And then they'll say something to the effect of, well, this is the plan to make $1 million by this time next year. No, that's not a plan. That's a goal, right? So what you want to do is be able to break that goal down into micro plans. The goal is the macro. The plan is the micro. So you start to break those things down, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, break those things down. But setting those goals and working toward them, mind you, even during tough times, that's going to give you a sense of purpose. It's going to give you a sense of direction. In a lot of cases, and I don't want to say this because I don't believe in failure, I believe in success or learning experiences. But in a lot of cases, even if you don't hit those goals, it still gives you a sense of purpose. The fact that you're going toward those goals, you're shooting toward those goals, it gives you that fulfillment in terms of that self satisfaction. But you also want to be open to new experiences or new opportunities. So many times people, they, kind of shoot themselves in the foot, if you will, when something is presented to them, because they get into the notion of, well, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or I'm not good at this, or I'm not good at that. That's not the big picture. The big picture is, where do you want to be once this tough period and these tough times are over? Where do you want to be? And then how you going to get there? People will say, people make millions of dollars. I'll tell you this, people make millions of dollars in waste management, a waste management company, right? Do you think they like waste? Do you think they like dealing with waste? Not at all. What it is a means to an end. There have been a lot of things that I've done over the years, whether it was business or studying or research. Been a lot of things that I've done that I really wouldn't typically want to do, but it wasn't about what I wanted to do. It was about, what is the end result? What is it that I'm attempting to do? Or what is it that I'm pursuing? You have to have that same kind of mindset when you're talking about being open to new experiences, being open to new opportunities, just being open, because sometimes you have to look at this also from a spiritual perspective. Sometimes God will place things in your path, and you'll not really take advantage or even take a look at those things, because you judge or prejudge them, not knowing that it may be a door that God is opening for you. But because it's something that you don't like, or you feel you're not good at, or all this other kind of stuff. Let me tell you something, by the way, about being good at certain things. I've worked with a lot of people, CEOs and presidents, and people who are quote unquote decision makers in a lot of people's lives. And I'm gonna tell you, the average person has the same or similar level of, I don't want to say education, but put it this way: if they can do it, you can do it. And I can tell you for a fact, these aren't geniuses, right? They're not geniuses. But what separates the haves from the have-nots, if you will, it is their willingness to pursue greatness, regardless of what. I'm going to talk in a future episode about integrity, but one of the things that's being lost in life is integrity. And because integrity is being lost, it's breaking down the institution called foundation. People will not show up on time and think that's okay. That's not okay. That's a lack of integrity. What you do, what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, right? Being able to uplift people and not always talking about people and negative stuff and all of these things, because these things actually permeate your soul. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The mind can only occupy one thought at a time. It is physically impossible for the mind to occupy more than one thought at a time. So all the time that you may take in terms of thinking and doing something negative, that's taking away a thought or some time that you could be doing something positive, doing something toward your growth, doing something toward your purpose, doing something toward your game plan, and keeping your mindset strong. So if you're talking about thriving, keep those positive things at the forefront of your mind. If you already know your mind can only occupy one thought, why not have it occupy a thought that's going to help you move toward your ultimate goals, your ultimate dreams? That's important, right? So, but being open to new experiences, new ideas. There's an example I saw somewhere, or heard somewhere, where someone was offering um, someone a gold brick, right? A gold brick, solid gold brick. And the person that they were giving it to was like, well, what is it? Or why are you giving this to me? Or, just all of these questions. The person didn't ask for anything. They didn't quantify why they're giving you this brick. All they said is, here's a gold brick. And all the person had to do is just take the gold brick. There were no strings attached. There was nothing, but they like, is it real gold? Is it this? Why are you doing it? Blah, blah, blah. That's how a lot of people's mindset are. That's not a good thing. You know, a lot of times when I talk to people or I'm coaching people, I let people know up front, look, I'm not looking for anything other than to help you achieve what it is that you're looking to achieve. That's it. No strings attached. But people have become so disillusioned with life and people and all these other things that they miss their blessings because of not being open to opportunities or situations that may be placed in front of them. You don't want to be in that, situation. And then also in the midst of all of this, you want to practice mindfulness and even some cases meditation. I've said this before. A lot of people are really good at being able to meditate. I kind of joke about this numerous times in the past, but for me, meditation, every time I try to meditate, I go to sleep. I fall asleep. And there was a meditation expert on one of my friends' podcasts. That's Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. He has a great podcast. And one of the episodes, he had a meditation specialist on, and I'm listening. Oh, what is it that I can do in terms of meditating? Because I always fall asleep. It just never fails. It's like reading a book. If I'm reading a book, after about a page, I'm asleep. But what the lady talked about in terms of meditating, maybe I should, take it in smaller increments. If it's 1 minute, then 3 minutes, then 5 minutes, and maybe build up. But the point is, you want to practice mindfulness. You want to relax your mind, whether that means meditation. You want to reduce stress, and meditation can reduce stress. Things like yoga can reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. So that's very, very important. And if you need to seek professional help in terms of reducing stress, then do so. Especially men, especially Black men. We have this cultural thing where we can't show weakness, we can't cry, we can't tell somebody you love them, you can't seek counseling, you can't talk about your problems to anybody. Well, if you got all of these doors closed, then what the hell are you supposed to do? Look, you can't show weakness, you can't cry, you can't tell somebody you love them, you can't get counseling, you can't do all of these things. Where is the brother supposed to go? How are you going to make this happen? Right? Man, get all of those. Those are tricks of the devil. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. If you love somebody, tell them you love them. If you gotta cry, cry. If you need to seek counseling. And all the people who talking all of this yin and this yang and trying to be tough guys. Look, ain't nobody got time for that. We ain't trying to hear that. Remember this, if you buy somebody's opinion, you better be prepared to buy their lifestyle. And most times when people are telling you all of this stuff, that's not the lifestyle, the lifestyle they're living. That's not what you want to live. So forget about what they're saying. I could care less about what people are saying because again, I'm not trying to buy into someone else's lifestyle or mindset. I'm trying to create my own. I'm creating my own. Right? So you want to be in a situation where if you need to seek professional help or if you need to do any of these things that we're talking about, then go ahead and do it. It's going to be very important that you make this happen. Remember, we're not talking about getting by. We're talking about thriving. And these things are important for you to thrive during tough times. It's important to also remember that everyone deals with tough times. Everybody have challenges. It's how do you deal with those challenges? And then a lot of people deal with tough times differently. Your solution may be different than your neighbors or your friends. You may be in a situation where there may be some challenges in your life, and you may know someone else that dealing with certain type of challenges. Well, it may be two types of solutions. So you have to do your due diligence, you have to do your research, you have to do your prayer, you have to do your own thing in order to really thrive in your shoes. That's going to be important. What works for one person may not work for another person, but it's important to find that what works best for you in all of this that we're talking about, in all of the situations and circumstances, what works best for you. Okay. Now, as I close out, just kind of giving you a heads up. Sometime very soon, I want to do a series of educational things as it relates to finances, as it relates to business, as it relates to so many things. One of the things that I've gotten from the Deep Dive Podcast group is people are, they like the courses. You know, I think they're just trying to get free coaching. But if you're part of my Deep Dive Podcast family, it's okay. Everybody else got to pay. But my Deep Dive Podcast family, I think they're trying to get some free coaching, but it's important. And I think over the next few weeks, I'm going to really put a lot of attention and a lot of time into helping people build some of the nuances of life through finances, through credit, through how to properly build a business. We talked about that a little bit last week, I think it was, with Jeremy Reed. Entrepreneurship, ownership, which is important, leaving trust and things in place for, you know, your kids or generations yet unborn, all of these things that are very important. So I want you to tune in and make sure you invite some people to take a listen to what we're doing. We're here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but all of the podcasts are on the website, which is the Deep Dive Podcast.live, the Deep Dive Podcast.live, also on YouTube and every podcast platform that's out there, Spotify, Apple, Google, all of the podcast platforms. We're on 22, 25, something like that, podcast platforms. And of course, we are on One Voice Radio, which airs in 172 countries around the world. So we got a lot to do. We have a lot that we've done, but I'm looking to really take this podcast to another level. And it's not about the podcast, it's about the empowerment of people, those of you who are the listeners. So continue to like, subscribe, download, and share. Let's have some fun with the podcast. I promise you, we got some fun podcasts coming up, even in the midst of empowerment. But let's continue to do the things that we need to do to help each other, empower each other, uplift each other, and make sure that we're all successful in our chosen lives. With that, I appreciate everybody joining me on this latest episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Again, remember to like, subscribe, download, and share. With that, God bless each and every one of you, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world.